hiding from people that I used to be close to. I would hide from them because I felt so worthless. I would hide, literally physically, take myself and tuck away in the corner. You know how Abraham was told to look far, like how far could he see, and that he was going to possess that land, that kind of thing. So that's what you do. That's exactly how it happens, and that's how you manifest. So you allow your mind to sit in what you could possibly have and how it would be. Thinking about this and allowing those to be in your consciousness helps you to see the kind of life that you will have. That's why I say to you that you cannot give the power of your life over to another human being to dictate. It means that you are giving them the position of God in your life, because God has created you to be this person, to be like this, to experience this and that. But you take all that power and allow someone else to turn you into something else, another person who experiences life, a life of negativity. So what you're doing is, in essence, you've become like, they've become like your idol. This is who you look up to take your existence from. And then I actually went a step further and I wrote it. I am going to be so. I'm going to go back to who I was and the person that I was, and hope that they wouldn't see me. I would actually hide myself. So you can imagine that, for no reason. I hadn't done anything. I didn't steal. I didn't kill. I did nothing. I hadn't done anything. But my spirit had taken on the acceptance of these negative things that this person had been saying to me. I was a very lively, happy-go-lucky person. And the person that I had transformed to be was this shrunken person who was even hiding from people that I used to be close to. I would hide from them because I felt so worthless. I would hide, literally physically, take myself and tuck away in the corner. And so as soon as my consciousness about myself was awakened, I was like, So I was determined that I wasn't going to live that way anymore. And based on that, every time that someone tries anything around me, I know if I'm going to start shrinking myself, I know this is wrong. I'm not going to allow them to take away the person that my creator made me to be. So that's what you're doing every time that you're shrinking yourself. You need to allow your natural self to be. If you don't like something, you shouldn't have to accept it because of someone else, because you want to maintain a relationship with someone else. You cannot do that. You're being disloyal to yourself, and yourself will punish you for that disloyalty. And so you cannot have peace. So what it just tells you is that nature is helping you to select. Nature selects everything for us. You came into this world born by yourself. They probably had to slap you for you to breathe. They had to slap you for you to breathe. You didn't have to do anything about it. You had no clothes on, right? And as at the time I'm sure that in that first week that you were born, clothes were put onto you. You didn't ask for, clothes were put on you. You were dressed. You didn't have to ask anyone to dress you. You didn't have to ask anyone to feed you. You cried, you showed that you needed feeding, and you were fed. You didn't have to do anything. The lilies in the field, none of them have to do anything. They are just there. That the sun shines on them, the rain falls on them. They don't have to do anything. That is nature. So the basics that you should have in a relationship is that you should not struggle with it. And once you find yourself struggling, that means you are in the wrong relationship. And when I say that, I don't mean that you discard the people. What it means is that you take a step out of the relationship. You can still try to find out if this relationship can work, because sometimes other people are going through their own problems. Maybe they've been through some trauma or something. But the fact that they've been through some pain or trauma does not give them the license to bring negativity and negative spirits and entities into your life. So that's why you need to take that step back. Take that step back, and then you can have conversations with them. That's why I don't recommend that you just abandon people and block them off. That's what you hear all over. I don't recommend that, because sometimes the truth is, if you really care about someone, you don't want to abandon them. The option that you take isn't going to be to abandon them to go to hell with their trauma. There are two types of pain infliction. It's either someone is just being mean because they're a mean person. For one, of course, they still have a reason why how they got there, or they're reacting that way, they're behaving that way to you because they have been through some trauma and it's causing them to act out this way. So when you figure out which one it is, if that is what it is, still you need to remove yourself from being the recipient of their nonsense. And then from the outside, you can have these conversations about the things that they're doing and why they're doing them. And if you remain there while you're trying to get them to stop doing these things, they have no reason to stop. because there are no repercussions. You are still there anyway. They don't have to stop. There's nothing to stop them. That's why it's completely important that you take that space. And you need not fear for taking space because you're thinking someone else is going to get them or they're going to get someone else. That's okay. If you're taking space and you're not telling them a final goodbye and they decide that they're going to get someone else, what it means is that even if you were there with them, you would have still been there with them until they had a convenient replacement for you. So it's better for you even that you take that space. And while you're taking that space, you can figure out whether you are even going to find someone else or if they want to step up so that they can be with you. And so when I made that declaration about not living that life that someone else was giving me, I also imagined how my future would be. I thought about how my past had been when it was all great and positive, and how my future would now be when I discard this miserable life here. And having that in my mind, I thought about it. I daydreamed about it. I thought about how my relationships would be. I thought about how I relate with people. So the fact is, sitting down and thinking about this and allowing those to be in your consciousness helps you to see the kind of life that you will have. You know how Abraham was told to look far, like how far could he see, and that he was going to possess that land, that kind of thing. So that's what you do. That's exactly how it happens, and that's how you manifest. So you allow your mind to sit in what you could possibly have and how it would be when you are not allowing yourself to be punished this way. And if you allow this to sit in your mind and you actually dwell on it and think about it, think upon this day and night, so that when something comes that's going to stand in the way of that thing that you actually want, you will know that this isn't it. This isn't it. You will know that it doesn't fit that thing that you've seen in your spirit. That means that this thing is not in alignment with where you are going. And so this thing shouldn't be here. And that's how you save yourself from trouble. There was a girl that I knew a long time ago. At that time, this girl had already come to this consciousness. And we were talking about something and I said, I can never afford that. And she said, I can. And I was like, but how can you? Because you don't have it. You don't have the wherewithal. And she said, well, I'm not going to say I can never afford it. At the time, I smiled and I was like, she's just talking. She just wants to sound positive. But now that I think differently, it's just like when I said to those two ladies that I can never be in a trouble or relationship, and one of them was like, but you cannot control things. And I said, of course I can, and I will. It's the same thing that now I recognize that that's probably the understanding that girl had. She'd already grasped it before I got there. She already knew that it's what your mind can see that you can do. She had already grasped that principle, and I wasn't there yet. So when you hear people talking, it's not that they have some magical power. What it means in that kind of situation is like, that girl knew that she would go for an interview for a particular kind of job, or she would go into a place and ask for a contract because her mind already knew what her life wanted, and she would go for those things and get them. But I didn't, and because I wasn't seeing those things, I hadn't seen that promised land, I wouldn't even think that this is something that I can do. So because she already knew the possibilities, she knew that she could say, yes, I can do that and I will get it. She knew that she wouldn't say, I cannot get it, right? So that's where you see the difference. The same way with the lady who was telling me that I couldn't control things about relationships. And I said, oh, yes, I can. Because I already know that I'm not going to be in anything where I'm being mistreated. And that lady is someone who says, she says, all men do this, all men do that. And I say, how do you say these things? And she's like, all men. I say, but what it means is that what it simply means is that you are choosing those types of men. If I come across that type of man, I know he's not, I have no business with him. So those are the kind of things that everything comes from the mindset.